For decades, thousands of Indians have relied on an illicit travel network to cross international borders. It is known locally as the donkey route, or donkey. Securing a spot on this network requires massive financial sacrifices. Families routinely liquidate life savings or take on crushing debt to pay local agents up to 25 lakh rupees, roughly $30,000 for a single person's passage. They are paying for a very specific vision, the promise of a settled, prosperous life in a major Western capital, like the bustling streets of London seen here, often overrides the warning signs. On April 20th, a family of 4 from the Gomtipur neighborhood of Ahmedabad packed their bags. Their agent routed them through Delhi, Sri Lanka, and finally Dubai. But once they landed in the UAE, their local agent began acting erratically, forcing them onto alternating routes. Then, just before a scheduled flight to Ethiopia, all contact abruptly ceased. The desperate pursuit of a Western dream often masks a terrifying reality. Migrants believe they are paying for a service, unaware that they are stepping directly into a highly organized trap. 2 weeks of silence passed. Then the family's daughter, Shreya, who had stayed behind in India, received a WhatsApp video call. The number flashing on her screen carried an international code traced to Australia. When she answered, the camera revealed her father stripped naked and restrained. A revolver was pressed directly to her younger brother's temple. The man holding the gun kept his face hidden. He demanded a ransom of 1.2 crore rupees to spare their lives, identifying himself by a single alias, Baba Khan. The alias Baba Khan appeared in a growing file of identical investigative reports. The name itself pointed toward a recurring pattern that central agencies were only beginning to map. To understand the mechanics of this threat, investigators looked back to a case from October of 2025. 4 men from Gujarat arrived in Iran with valid visas, intending to use the country as a transit point to reach Australia. But the moment they walked through the arrivals hall of the Persian duty-free, they vanished. Days later, their families received video calls showing the victims lying face down, hands bound, and covered in deep welts. The man demanding the ransom on those calls used the exact same voice, the same intimidation tactics, and the same name, Baba Khan. The identical details in both cases point toward a premeditated criminal blueprint. Investigators found themselves tracking a single, centralized syndicate running an industrialized hostage operation. The operation succeeds because its initial stages are completely legitimate. Local recruiters act as trusted facilitators, securing valid tourist visas, like the official entry stamp seen on this Indian passport, to give the migrants a sense of security. Tracking the map reveals how the syndicate moves targets. The Gomtipur family flew legally from Ahmedabad to New Delhi, continuing through transit hubs to Dubai. Dubai marks the handover. Agents sell migrants to offshore syndicates. The path drops sharply into untrackable territories in Kenya or Ethiopia. The syndicate purposefully weaponizes the infrastructure of commercial air travel. They use legitimate airlines and valid visas to transport victims thousands of miles beyond the reach of Indian law enforcement before finally springing the trap. Once the victims are isolated in these remote locations, the syndicate shifts its focus to the families back home. They wage total psychological warfare, sending blood-soaked photographs of the captives, followed by audio recordings of mothers begging for help. Then, the syndicate deploys a calculated negotiation tactic. Baba Khan initially demanded 1.2 crore rupees from the Gomtipur family, but slowly reduced the figure to 30 lakh. They string the relatives along, systematically bleeding the family of every asset they possess. In the Tehran case, aggressive intervention by the Home Affairs Ministry eventually secured the hostages' release. But the Gomtipur family remains lost, hidden somewhere within the isolating expanse of the East African wilderness. This modern extortion model does not stop with the physical victims in the jungle. It is designed to consume, terrorize, and financially ruin the relatives left behind in India. Historically, the donkey route was a straightforward illegal transaction. An agent was paid a flat fee to secretly move a willing client across a heavily guarded border. Today, syndicates like Baba Khan's have mutated that system. They have turned a smuggling network into an industrialized pipeline for physical abduction. In this shifted model, the syndicate treats the migrant as raw inventory. The promise of a dream life abroad is now actively weaponized as the ultimate bait. Those chasing that dream have themselves become the commodity, captured, tortured, and held for ransom.